Call the meeting to order, and we'll have a moment of silent prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Mrs. Franks?
Mayor Kindle.
Present.
Councilwoman Costantino is absent. Councilman Jenny.
Here.
Councilwoman LaPrat.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Sawicki is also absent. Councilwoman Williams.
Present.
Councilman Toussaint.
Present.
Acting City Manager Szymanski.
Here.
City Attorney DeWally.
Here.
Okay, I need a motion to excuse, I can only excuse Vivian, or do we excuse both? But we haven't heard from Cheryl Constantino.
She could show up.
She could show up. So, we will, I need a motion to excuse,
Madam Mayor,
yes.
I'm offering a motion to excuse Councilmember Vivian.
Support.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, I need approval of the minutes for the last meetings for the regular city council meeting, the charter review, and the cannabis. Anyone?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve the minutes for the regular city council meeting held on February 6, 2023, the charter review subcommittee meeting held on February the 9th, 2023, and the cannabis subcommittee meeting held on February 9th, 2023. Support.
Support. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we have public comment on agenda items. It's time for anyone in the audience that wants to speak on the agenda items only. Mr. Hakeem.
Yeah, it's Larry Hackey, Little Stone Wood. Just one question on the agenda item. You just voted to approve the minutes for those
I
three
can't-
meetings.
What did you say?
Use the mic.
Use the mic.
I need a
You guys are worse hard of hearing than I am. Okay. I'm sorry.
That's to make sure that,
Oh, for the camera,
yes.
my
Thank you.
fans. You just voted to approve the minutes for those three committees, whatever. My question is, how soon after tonight will those minutes be available on the website?
They are as of about 3 o'clock today.
Oh, they're already on there?
Mhm.
I must have checked at 2:49.
Maybe. I can't remember when I did. I did. put
I
it on
just
there
was wondering,
today.
because I wanted
Yeah.
to take a look at them. Okay. Thank you much.
You know, I forgot. There is a correction on the minutes for the
Okay.
cannabis.
What?
Got me listed as there. All right, is there any other comments on agenda items? If not, I need a resolution for the consent agenda.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to make a resolution to approve the consent agenda items 1 through 4.
Support.
Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, Mrs. Franks.
Councilman Jenny.
Yes.
Councilwoman LaPrat.
Yes.
Councilman Toussaint.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Kindle.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
All right then, let's take us to old business, and since we have no old business, this brings us to new business and city manager report.
Okay, item G1, employment agreement, 32A District Court Administrator. Mayor and council, presented before you is the employment agreement between Tammy Rice and the 32A District Court. As you are aware, the employees of 32A District Court are selected by the judge and serve at her pleasure. However, as the city is the funding agent, this employment agreement is being brought to you for your consideration. The judge and I have negotiated the terms of salary and benefits, and this agreement has been reviewed by the city attorney. Therefore, it is my recommendation that the at-will employment agreement for Tammy Rice be approved for her to serve as court administrator at the pleasure of Judge Rebecca Coleman. Mayor, a resolution is recommended.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'll make the resolution. By resolution, approve the at-will employment agreement between the city of Harper Woods and 32A District Court and Tammy Rice to serve as court administrator in content and form and funding. That the mayor be authorized to sign the agreement.
Support.
Okay, support. Any discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
just really quick, John, is this salary around what it should be for a district court judge for our size?
Yeah, this is, she's actually replacing the position that was held by Rochelle Matute. And it's actually, I want to say, about 8% less than Rochelle Matute.
Thank you very much.
I have a question
Yes.
also. I noticed on the, her salary thing, it was like after 6 months another raise, and after a year another raise, and after, what is that strategy on doing those little increments like that?
It's affordable, it's carrying over through multiple, I want to say budgeted years. And again, it's less than what we paid to the court administrator that left.
I understand that. I was just curious, why was those little increments like that, like 4 different raises over a matter of 2 or 3 years?
That's how it was negotiated.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, any further discussion? Roll call vote, Mrs. Franks?
Councilwoman LaPrat,
Yes.
Councilman Tucson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Kindle,
Yes.
and Councilman Jennings.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
Okay, item G2, employment agreement modification, Assistant Director of Economic Development. Mayor and Council, attached is a modification to the current contract between the City of Harper Woods and the Assistant Director of Economic Development, Stephen Lindley. Mr. Lindley has agreed to, in addition to performing his current duties, assist the DPW and the Building Department in developing and implementing strategies to boost the enforcement of our ordinances. This modification has been prepared by our labor attorney, and therefore it is my recommendation that this modification to his agreement be approved. Mayor, a resolution is recommended.
I'll make the resolution. By resolution to approve the modification to the employment agreement between the City of Harper Woods and Stephen Lindley, Assistant Director of Economic Development, and to further authorize the acting city manager and the mayor to sign the agreement on behalf of the city.
Support.
Any discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
can we get a little more what exactly Stephen's going, what extra he's going to be doing for this? I'm reading here that he's going to be helping the building department with implementing some things for ordinances. Is he going to be doing some zoning things also?
Yeah, he's going, a couple of things. He's going to be going through the fee schedule and making sure that the city is not losing money on the fees that we're charging. We have quite a few fees where the cost of our personnel going out and actually performing the service is not, we're not recouping the money that we're spending. So his job is to look through, work through that list, come up with new rates. Some of those rates are old, and also to assist the DPW Deputy Director with some of the duties that she has. She's being stretched in 100 different directions right now. And I want to say we need windows in this building. We have a grant that has been hanging out there that's time sensitive. We have a generator grant that is time sensitive too, and we want to hit the ground running this spring and when the weather breaks. So Stephen will be assisting her with those efforts, but mainly it's going to be to develop better ordinances, better enforcement of the ordinances, and coordinating the energies of the departments that are needed to enforce the ordinances.
Madam Chair, I have a question. I guess I'm wondering, and most of the time around here, because it's considered our budget, we have been, most of us wear multiple hats. So I'm just figuring, is his salary not competitive with others out there on the market or something, or?
No,
what is it?
it's actually, I do want to say that we're constantly under, I want to say other employers are trying to rate us right now.
Right.
This is actively, every day the chief can speak to that, you know, with police officers, firefighters, our personnel, administrative personnel. I don't think there's a day that goes by where a headhunter doesn't come in and try to lure them away. And he's right at the, right at that stage in his career.
Because, I mean, it's not like he has any background in city ordinances in these other areas, so that's why I was like, that's why I was curious if the decision was made, because he made his, well, you told me that, because we don't want to lose him, we got some projects going, if we want to keep him, fine. All right, I get it.
Is there any further discussions?
Madam Mayor,
Yes?
I just had a quick question on Section 3 salary. I see the effective date is up blank, is that because it's going to put in for the,
With the ratification, today, with the vote, it'll be effective today, if it gets ratified.
All right, is there any more? Roll call vote, Mrs. Frank?
Councilman Toussaint.
Okay, yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
yes,
Mayor Kendall.
Yes.
Councilman Jenny.
Yes.
Councilwoman LaPrat.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
Okay, item G3, progress payment number 3, final 2021 sewer cleaning and CCTV investigation program number 180-259. Mayor and council, attached is a letter from our city engineers transmitting progress payment number 3, final on the 2021 sewer cleaning and CCTV investigation number 180-259. It is recommended that this payment be approved. Mayor, a resolution is recommended.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I make the resolution to approve payment to Dosh Environmental Services in the amount of $4,758.75 for progress payment number 3, final, on the 2021 sewer cleaning and CCTV investigation number 180259.
support.
Any discussion?
Yes, Madam Mayor. The only thing I really was wondering is that this one says 2021 and the one that's after this one is going to 2020, and this is 2023. So I was wondering what was the, why so many years in between the first payments?
Takes a long time to clean the sewers, to take pictures, you know, of the sewers. Oftentimes what happens is a contract that might have been started in a prior year, the city is able to secure a favorable price just to amend that contract and to keep the work going, and that's pretty much the reason.
So was this work completed in 2021?
No, the contract was started in 2021, and it's wrapping up right now. And with these bills too, there's a lot of inspections and reports that have to accompany the work as well. So this is the final on this particular project.
Are there any further discussion? Roll call vote, Mrs. Franks.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Mayor Kindle,
Yes.
Councilman Jenny,
Yes.
Councilwoman LaPrat,
Yes.
and Councilman Tucson.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
Item G4, progress payment number 4, final 2020 sanitary sewer cleaning and CCTV investigation program number 180-233. Mayor and council, attached is a letter from our city engineers transmitting progress payment number 4, final on the 2020 sewer cleaning and CCTV investigation number 180-233. It is recommended that this payment be approved. Mayor, a resolution is recommended.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'll offer the resolution. By resolution to approve payment to Deutsche Environmental Services in the amount of $7,069.20 for progress payment number 4, final, on the 2020 sewer cleaning and CCTV investigation number 180-233.
Second.
All right. Any discussion?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I was wondering, how is this one different from the other one that was right before this?
Okay, this is a sanitary sewer cleaning. Sometimes what happens, many times, what happens, they might find deposits, they might find crack lines, they might find tree roots, they might find gas lines that penetrate the lines. All those things have to be remediated. Reports have to be filed and logs have to be maintained. And that's why these jobs take as long as they do.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote, Mrs. Franks.
Mayor Kindle,
Yes.
Councilman Jenny,
Yes.
Councilwoman LaPrat,
Yes.
Councilman Tucson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
All right. Is there anything?
Mayor and council, that concludes the city manager's reports.
Okay, call the audience. 3 minutes, please. State your name and everybody don't run at one time. If we don't have any comment.
Hi, I'm Corinne Martin, and I think most of you know me. I run the animal shelter for the city of Harper Woods. I wanted to speak tonight. Can everybody hear me okay?
No.
Okay. I wanted to speak tonight because of my frustration with something that occurred. Sorry, I have a dry throat. On January 21st, the Harper Woods Police Department brought me a critically injured 6-week-old puppy that had been dragged by its neck down the street and was asphyxiated and bleeding, and I thought it was dead. Fortunately, with emergency care and monitoring, the puppy did make it, so the puppy is alive. But during the course of that, of course, I was the caretaker, and I became very attached and concerned about what happened with the puppy. On February 13th, I came to court here in this room because I wanted to hear the case. I wanted to see what happened with the person who had committed this crime of animal abuse, and I just wanted to hear it and see what happened. I sat in this room by myself with one other person. I was here at 8:55. About 9:45, no one was here except there was a person conducting a Zoom on the video. The judge was not here. There was one other person and myself. And so finally I asked the court officer, "Where is everybody?" And he said, "Well, they conduct things by Zoom." So apparently the individual that committed this crime was able to have his conversations with his attorney or the city attorney on Zoom. So I was not privileged to hear any of that nor see any of it. And it was my understanding from the court officer that the judge comes in about 10:30 after all the Zooming is done. So this was very frustrating to me. I will say that City Attorney Diwali was very kind and actually stepped out of her chambers to come and tell me that the case had been adjourned so that I could go back to work and I wouldn't be sitting here aimlessly. But I guess I don't understand how a person can be held accountable in today's society for the crimes they commit when they don't have to come before a judge and everything's done at home on Zoom. I guess it was just very frustrating to me. I still don't know anything about this defendant and what's going on with him. I do know about the puppy, and that was my main concern, but I wasn't aware of, even if you are all aware, that the court's being conducted in Zoom. So that's my,
It's been that way since COVID.
COVID is gone.
Yeah, I mean, this is the state of the world today.
I contacted other cities prior to coming here just to see if they were still doing Zoom, and they are not. I'm talking about local, Grosse Pointe Farms, Grosse Pointe Woods, Grosse Pointe Park.
Yeah, the city doesn't have any jurisdiction whatsoever with the courts. We're a funding unit, but the courts are ran by the state of Michigan. They're not ran by the city government, by the councils, anything. It's like the Harper Woods School District. We have no say in their affairs.
But other cities are able to conduct courts in person, and Harper Woods is not.
You know what? I can't answer that question
Okay.
because they're separate and independent.
Okay. All right, just understand, it's very frustrating, I think, for people who have been a part of a crime not to be able to see the system, how it works and how it's handled, and to just have it be blind like that. So, thank you for your time.
If you'd like me to speak on it,
Yeah.
Mayor, I could, is that the court is run by the judge. It is the judge's courtroom, and we follow her rules, not our rules. We follow her rules. She allows video and via Zoom. That is the judge's decision. As the assistant city manager said, we have no control over that. The judge is in charge. The judge is the boss. I can tell you, because I know we've worked on this case together, that the first hearing is merely an arraignment. So even had anybody been here, the only thing that would have happened, because it still hasn't reached the pretrial stage, the arraignment is when the defendant comes forward and can have the charges read to them and bond is set. That's all that's happened at this point. We haven't come to any resolution with the defendant at this point. Anytime, Corinne.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Mr. Hakeem or Mr. Kadat?
It's come to my attention that some of the Grosse Pointes, and particularly City of Grosse Pointe, has just okayed ordinance regarding vacant buildings, especially vacant residential buildings. So they are requiring that if a building is vacant for more than 90 days, it must be reported to the city. So the city can maintain a list of vacant buildings. This doesn't apply to apartment units in an apartment complex or multi-family structures. But in addition to this requirement, they also put in a requirement that somebody within 50 miles has to be available to contact regarding the situation with the property. And so, and then after 1 year of vacancy, the city is going to reserve the right to inspect the property internally and externally I have some constitutional problems with that, but without a court order. So I think maybe it might not be a bad idea if we could maintain a list of vacant properties and then require there would be somebody that can be contacted. They used a 50-mile radius that would be responsible for well, that you could contact regarding the maintenance and the upkeep of the property. So, so we might want to look at something like this. Okay, all right, thank you. Mhm.
That's something that we would probably,
If I may, Your Honor?
Yeah.
We currently have an ordinance that, quite frankly, is even better than Grosse Pointe, is that we do have a requirement that any vacant housing must be reported to the city. It must be boarded up in a certain manner, that the city has the right to inspect the outside, and if the outside is not sufficiently secured, we can ticket them, and that the person who is supposed to be taking care of the property must live within I believe it's a 25-mile radius within our city. So we do have a vacant property ordinance. We already have one.
But we still have all these vacant properties that seem to be, that nobody is responsible for. And there's no contactee. Yeah, so that's, ordinance are fine, but still, you know, when it comes down to the implementing these things, I think there's some disconnect here. Okay, well, that's good to know, thank you.
thank you. Mr. Hakeem?
Larry Hakeem, Little Stone Road, Harper Woods, Michigan. A quick follow-up on that ordinance you just referred to, and I have pictures on my phone, if anybody care to see them. 21353 Little Stone Road. I came to City Hall, I think it was Thursday or Friday must have been Thursday, you're not here Friday, and went to the, down the basement to the inspector. And I showed him these pictures of this house, which was rented and just wrecked for 4 or 5 years. We've been complaining about it. Finally, somebody bought it, obviously to flip it. They renovated it, and there's now a for sale sign on front as of Friday. But when I came here on Thursday and showed the inspector the pictures, this house on all doors, all windows, has steel plates covering everything. I'm not talking about wire security doors, bars, whatever. You guys can take a look, pass this while I'm talking. Real quick if you want.
DAW or somebody?
And I was assured by
That's not legal.
our guy, you first met him there, these are all steel plates on the
Right,
front
I
door
know.
and on all the windows.
That's not
And
legal.
I was told it's not legal. We have ordinances against that. And I said, what are you gonna do? And there's actually an advertisement for this company on the
Right.
front door with the company's name and phone number, and we can protect you. And I mean, it looks like living in,
Where?
you know, a war-torn country. I mean, it looks short of a tank. Doesn't have the rotary down the bottom. He said all they can do is attempt to contact the owner, but he would definitely contact the company and let them know it's illegal, and they have 72 hours to remove them.
Right.
Well, just like I might have missed the posting on the website by a few hours, they missed the 72 hours by a day or two. And the steel plates are still on his house. Now, the guy next door bought that house 2 years ago from an old man, 90-some years old, that lived there since it was built, old Chuck. And he bought this house at a fair price, but he put over $100,000 into renovating this house to make it his home. And he got up that morning and opened the curtains in his bedroom, which is, and he saw these steel, he thought he was getting invaded, this poor old guy. He was like, what the heck? So anyway, I know we're always told to go to the proper departments. In this case, I went to the proper department, and it doesn't seem to have done any good yet. So maybe I gotta give him a few more days, but you know the old, give him more days, give him more days, give him more. At what point, if it's 72 hours, there's 72 hours, there should be some action, my opinion. The other thing I just wanted to bring up real quick was in anticipation of the cannabis coming to Harper Woods, and it's going back a few years now, I started attending meetings of different cities where they were entertaining licensing, bringing up licensing, following the processes. And one thing I noticed for the first time, I came to the last meeting of the Cannabis Committee, and I mentioned this to John. All the other cities that went through this whole subcommittee process, review, get it all together situation, included in that committee was a member of the Planning Commission, because it's very important, the zoning and planning of where you put this stuff legislatively or legally, let's say that. The other thing was the member of the Ordinance Committee should be on that same board, as well as the city attorney or representation of the city attorney. Because it's such, it can become a very nasty legal nightmare for the city if all these pieces of this puzzle aren't put together properly. And I noticed at our meeting, or your meeting, or the Cannabis Committee meeting the other night, which I attended, that none of that was there, to my knowledge. So I just wanted to suggest that you might want to revisit somehow incorporating somebody from each one of those commissions or city committees to partake, to make sure that everything's done legally and properly, and can give some guidance to the committee to help them make their decisions, to make recommendations to the council. So we're not flying with one wing. Gotta crash if you only got one
We're flying
wing.
with both wings, but
Just suggestions on my part.
Yeah, just a couple of comments on there. We definitely will be bringing those kind of members into the committees, okay, as things shape up. You know, this is a very new topic. People are at varying levels, you know, on this whole topic, and you have to give time to the members to understand it as a group. And yes, we realize you have to have things legal here. We realize that we're limited on things, options that we have, but we have people telling us the opposite too.
right.
You know, they're coming in and they're saying, we can do this, don't listen to this person, don't listen to that person, have a lunch with me, listen to my idea. This is what's taking place behind the scenes. So by having it out in the open, you know, the committee will come up to a consensus, and we will bring in, you know, the proper planning officials so that we could look at the zoning maps, see what's available.
Right.
And agree on what kind of businesses not only can the city support, but
Not to interrupt, but I understand all
Yeah.
that, but what I'm saying is the members of your committee should include these people from the get-go. It's not about outside sources being part of your committee. It's about the city being part of the city's committee. An ordinance representative, a planning commission zoning representative, legal
They will be there. They'll
representative.
be
That's
there.
all I'm saying. I'm not looking to bring in outsiders or anybody
no, we're
trying
not
to
saying
sell
We're
you
not
something.
saying you.
I'm talking about, we should do this as a city. I'm speaking on behalf of being a resident of the city to see it go right, not hiccup or hit speed bumps or go backwards, that's all. It's just a suggestion that,
Yep.
you know, we load the gun with all the bullets before we go into battle, because, you know, that's kind of the way you do things. That's all I got. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Seeing none, call the council.
Me first?
You first. You
Okay.
don't have anybody on the other side of you.
That's true, okay. Well, let me get my little notes here. First of all, I wanted to give my condolences and my regrets about the murders from the kids that got killed from MSU. And especially since it's in our own community, it made it even more personal. So I did get a chance to go to, in fact, to the Vigil at St. Paul. Well, he must have had about 700 people there for that one, for that young man there. And also, I went to the Grosse Pointe Memorial Church with Councilwoman Sierra Donovan from Grosse Pointe, and Joe Tate was also there. So it was a pretty sad moment. I'm sure there was some other funeral arrangements. I didn't make all of them, but I just felt since it was so personal to go with that. I also was attended the small business meeting that Peter had yesterday. The mayor and I were there. So I'm very happy about the fact that we are trying to, support our local businesses. I know I found a garage guy here. I use X-Ray Electric here. I use a couple of, I got some new drapes in my house from somebody right here in Harperwood. So we do have quite a bit of talent here, and that's like a nice way of keeping the money into the organization. The mayor and I also attended, we were all invited to the new program they're going to have over at Harperwood School. I forgot my notes on it. It's a bridge program, but it's going to, when kids graduate from high school now, they'll be able to have not only book knowledge, but he's going to bring in industry people also to be a part of that, the learning and curriculum. And it's focusing on areas, I think it was entrepreneurship, it was something with finance, and 2 or 3 other areas. So technically, when they get out of high school, they're kind of qualified to go on and get a job maybe in a bank, in the mortgage area or whatever. So it's a good idea because, especially in this day and age, the way technology is changing so much. How do you train our kids for the future? Because basically, a lot of the jobs that we have now won't even exist when they grow up. So that's a big, interesting challenge we have, and this is a nice way of hitting it, of doing it. And with the cost of tuition and things, it almost seems like only the privileged can go to college. And so this is a way of being able to have right out of high school, be able to get a good job. And I'm very supportive of the program. I'm also looking forward this year to hiring a new city manager here to kind of take some of this responsibility off of John a little bit, and get somebody with and hopefully we can get somebody true with vision and insight, and of course going to be trained quite well. I mean, has a good background on it, and be an asset to the city. I think we need some new meat in here too to kind of give us some more perspectives on things. So that's about all I have at this point.
All right, Tom.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, just really quick, I apologize for stepping out on
Not a
a couple
problem.
phone calls. To come on what Ivory said, yeah, just hug your little ones and older ones. I mean, my kids went to school with the young lady, and they're the same age, so it kind of hit close to home with me. But yeah, just be good. You never know. Any of us don't know. So just hug everybody, love everybody. That's about all I got to say.
Okay, I got a couple of save the dates from the Beautification Commission, and first we got April 22nd. We're going to do an Earth Day cleanup, so everybody put that on their calendar. Get your gardening gloves on and come on up, and it'll be from 9 to 12. There'll be some flyers and more information on that. Also, in May the 20th, from 10 to 12, over at Salty Park, we'll be doing the annual spring perennial plant exchange. Next, I had the pleasure of going, our deputy DPW director invited me to come take a tour of our DPW yards, and it was interesting. There's some old equipment there's some new equipment. Saw some things that go around pipes to fix them, and lots of salt and dirt, and I saw where some work needs to be done. But I gotta say, those are some hardworking folks down there. Last, I'm gonna hit upon, the shootings. I was really, really angry and still am. I attended, the vigil for, Ariel Anderson, over at, the Lutheran Church across from North. Mayor Kindle was there, but also I was really pleased to see, Eddie Chuyaka come and stand there in the front of the church, and he made, I have to say, and 3 firemen came walking in. I glanced, I can't say exactly who they were, but 3 Harperwoods firemen, and I know they brought the truck over there, because Eddie, the pastor, made a comment to Eddie, and he's like, oh, there's a lot of people, because there was 600 people there, and we all had candles, and made a comment to Eddie going, I hope we got a lot of people here and a lot of candles, and Eddie said, fire truck's here, it's all right. So, but it was, so I took it upon myself to call our state rep, email our congressman, and demand change. There's things going through the legislation, and I want everyone to be on top of your legislators, and we need change. Thoughts and prayers aren't working. Whatever we're doing isn't working. Something has to stop these kids from being murdered. And that's all I got.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to send out my condolences and sympathy to the families of the students who was murdered at MSU. I have several colleagues that have sons and daughters that attend MSU. Some were in the room right next door when it happened. So families and students are very shaken up. So I just want to send out my heartfelt condolences to all the families that's been affected by the shooting.
Thank you. Okay, so I'll have the last word, and per usual, but as I said, I put it out on Facebook and said this was just a very trying time for all of us. To have a young person, young people's lives taken so tragically and so heinous and so unnecessary. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason, and we're supposed to bury, our children are supposed to bury us, not us burying our children. And I cannot even begin to imagine what that family is going through. I've talked to them and been there to be supportive as much as possible. But we don't, until you walk in those shoes, do you really understand? And if you've lost a child, then you can come close to understanding. But when someone takes a life of your loved one, that's just painful all the way around, no rhyme or reason. Yesterday, I attended the celebration of her homegoing. Over 1,000 people were there in the church. More than 125 cars in the procession to go to the cemetery. But this is a testimony of this young person's life. She was someone that lit up the room and was doing everything right, as we would have a young person do. And to have her life tragically taken away is just heart-wrenching. But I'll say I'm very proud of what we did as a city. We stepped up, and at a later date we will give the family a proclamation about Ariel. Diamond was her middle name, and she truly was a diamond. From all accounts from the people, Jerry, from the vigil to the celebration of her life, was about the goodness of this young woman. And that was what we got from even Brian, when we went to his vigil, you know, these were young people that was doing what we expect them to do. And it's just a tragic. And I hope that we don't forget this, that we contact our representatives and make sure they make the changes that may help this. You can't cover everything, but there are some things that we can do to make a change. Our kids should not have to go. When we went to college, did you fear somebody doing something like this? I mean, I can't even imagine. Going to school, the kids, I mean, just going to school, you lose your life? That's not right. And we as a society have got to do better. America, we're supposed to be the greatest. And we're showing the world that we are not. We are so concerned about guns and people's rights to guns that our children are dying. That's not right. That's simply not right. But I regress to say I really appreciate our police department and public safety for being at the vigil and also the celebration of life. They were there to assist Detroit police in the travels from the church to the cemetery. And like I said, with the candles, I'm glad the fire department was there in case everybody had, you know, all these people grouped together with candles. But I felt a little safe because as Jerry, I saw the police, fire department come in. So I'm grateful for that. And I really want to reach out to our police chaplain, Pastor Harvell. He made sure that the family were well aware and walked through them, was there with them, and was yesterday at the celebration of life to coordinate and make sure everyone had an opportunity to speak. I want to thank our governor because she was there, also her husband, and the lieutenant governor. And it was just an organized event because everyone is feeling the pain of this. It's no one that, we've got calls from all over. There's no one that was not touched by these 3 people that lost their lives. Let's not talk about the 5 that have to recover. But America, we must do better. We got to do better. Our young people we cannot expect them to be our next leg if we don't give them the support and the foundation that they need to go forward. Can you imagine how many young people don't want to go back to school now? And can you blame them? No. We as adults need to usher in a new way of dealing with this gun violence, period. And on another note, I want us as a city to start to truly support our small businesses in the city of Harper Woods. I want to make sure that we know we support the small businesses that we have in the city of Harper Woods. So if you don't do anything but just stop by a restaurant or a business and just let them know you care, we care that you're here, and do what we need to do as a community. We're only as good as we are as neighbors and a community if we love and treat everyone with respect. And that also means patronizing the businesses that we have in our community. So, with that, Mr. Jennings.
Madam Mayor, you can make the motion for adjournment?
Support.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Please be safe going out there because the ice is real.